Let's proceed to step 2 because because the value of a here is equals to 1. So we will be separating all the variable terms on one side of the equation and the constant term to the other side, forming x squared plus bx is equals to c. So our constant term will be separated to the variable terms. So it's either by addition property of equality or by transposing the constant to the other side, which is mostly what I do when I am doing the completing the square. So this time I will be showing you that I will be transposing this negative 3 to this side. So we will be having x squared plus 2x is equals to, since this is negative, it will be positive. And then next step is complete the square by adding on both sides the square of half of b, where b is the linear coefficient, making x squared plus bx plus the square of half of b is equals to c plus the square of half of b. So the linear coefficient on this example is 2. So linear coefficient because the variable beside 2 is a first degree. So we will be multiplying it by 1/2 or dividing it by 2. And then after that, we will be squaring it. So 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1 squared is still 1. So that is what you are going to add on both sides in completing the square. And for the next step, we will be factoring the side making a perfect square trinomial, and we will write it as a square of binomial and do the indicated operation on the other side containing the constant term. So this is our perfect square trinomial side and this is our constant term side. So writing the x squared plus 2x plus 1 into a square of binomial. So my shortcut there is I'm getting the square root of my first term, getting the sign of my middle term, and getting the square root of the last term, and then squared. And then getting 3 plus 1, it will be 4. And after that, we will be applying the square root property and we will be solving for x. So getting the square root on both sides, so it will be x plus 1 is equals to, and square root property, don't forget the positive, negative, and the square root of 4 is 2. And we will be transposing this or apply the APE, addition property of equality, by adding both sides by -1. So when we add -1 here and -1 here, ayan. So it will be x, and it will be -1. I will just write first the -1 and then positive -2. And let's now get our x sub 1 is equals to -1 plus 2, which is 1. So our x sub 1 is 1, and our x sub 2 is -1 minus 2, which is -3. Another example in completing the square. This time, our a, or which is the quadratic coefficient, is not equals to 1. So this time, we need to do the first step, which is we will be dividing the value of a on both sides, or applying the multiplication property of equality. We will be multiplying the value of the reciprocal of a, but for me I will just be dividing both sides by the value of a. So our a on this example is 2. So on this case, we will be dividing on all terms. So 2x squared divided 2 will give us x squared. And -5x divided 2, still -5 halves x. You don't need to write into mixed fraction so that it will be easier for us to find what we will be adding on both sides to complete the square. And this is 1 divided 2 is still 1/2. And then 0 divided 2 is still 0. And then on our second step, so our second step is separate all variable terms. So we will be transposing. So let's have x squared minus 5 halves x is equals to -1/2. And then when I am doing the completing the square, I put a blank there to be used later after I find the square of half of b. And this time our b is -5 halves, so beside the first degree. So since this is a fraction, what I do is I will be multiplying it to 1/2. So that is -5/4, and then I will be getting the square of it, that is 25/16. So that is what we will be adding on both sides in completing the square. So I will just put 25/16 here and 25/16 here. So this is just a solution on the square of half b. So proceeding to the next step, we will be factoring the perfect square trinomial, which is this side. So my technique here, when I am writing it as a square of binomial, again I am getting the square root of the first term, and then I will just be writing this, yung the number before I square it, which is -5/4. Then I will put square, then equals let me compute our LCD. 16 times 2 is 32, so -32 plus 25. Okay, so let me just compute for this. So it will be x minus 5/4, sorry, the square of x minus 5/4 over 16. So -32 plus 20, sorry, not -32, 8 pala, sorry. I just directly multiplied this. 16 divided 2 is 8 times 1, so this is 8. So this is, I guess, 17. Yeah. And then that's the time we will be applying the square root on both sides. So Let me just write on this side because I only have a small whiteboard. So it will be x minus 5 fourths equals, so the square root of there's no square root for 17, so still positive negative square root of 17 over the square root of 16 is 4. And then we will be transposing this to the other side, or again, if you will be applying the APE, we will be applying both sides by positive 5 fourths. But since I will be just transposing this, it will be x is equals to positive 5 fourths positive negative square root of 17 over 4. Usually they do have the same denominator. So when I write my x sub 1, that is 5 plus square root of 17 over 4, since they have the similar denominator. And the second is 5 minus square root of 17 over 4.